I'm Sarah from Advantis Media, and today I will be talking to you about how we rate bias. Our full methodology uses 3 sub-factors to help us determine which category an article falls into: political position, language, and comparison. You might find a political position bias when the article discusses one or more political positions or one or more politicians. Political positions change over time, so it is important to note that the left-right axis of the chart reflects the current political positions of elected officials in the United States. It's helpful to have a basic understanding of what constitutes left and right in current US politics. The 7 categories of bias are most extreme left, hyper-partisan left, skews left, middle, skews right, hyper-partisan right, and most extreme right. The line between the skews and hyper-partisan categories reflect the political positions of current elected officials of each party: Democrats on the left and Republicans on the right. Party platforms can also be helpful. They are documented and updated every 4 years, and you can look them up as a point of reference. The line between hyper-partisan and most extreme is defined by the positions taken by the most extreme elected officials of each party. Articles should be ranked most extreme if the positions are beyond what the most extreme elected officials advocate. Does the article paint a politician or political party in a particularly good or bad light? Look for coverage that is unfairly negative or positive in view of the underlying thing that the politician did, with the caveat that if what the politician did is widely considered positive or negative, the article may cover that factually without having bias. Language is often the easiest factor to rate. It can give you a good sense of an article's bias. Look for politically biased language with opponent characterization and political terminology. Opponent characterization refers to adjectives used for ad hominem or personal attacks on politicians, like mocking someone's physical features. You should be able to tell whether adjectives are fair and neutral or if they indicate a measure of judgment and bias by using context clues and your own personal values. Use your best judgment to determine the degree of bias. Calling an opponent secretive or cunning would typically put that article into the skews left or right category. Using words like lazy or vindictive would push that article into hyper-partisan left or right. There are 3 main types of political terminology to look for: biased words, specific insults or pejorative terms, and boogeymen. Biased words include characterizations used for a particular topic by one side or the other: gun control versus gun rights, pro-life versus pro-choice. Specific insults and pejorative terms are those that feature in the current political landscape and have connotations against one side or the other. These include terms like deplorables, snowflakes, leftists, or the mainstream media. Boogeymen refer to people or groups that may or may not exist, but whose names are invoked by politicians in order to incite fear, anger, or loathing among their constituents. These could be real people or groups that have committed bad acts and evolve into boogeymen when their names are used as abstractions of these acts. Examples include the deep state, big pharma, or the 1%. Look for the presence of these words and use what you know about them to determine their bias. Comparison asks you to rate the way a topic is treated in this article compared to others that you've read on the same topic. You may not be familiar with how other media outlets are treating it, but it's okay to lean on your current knowledge. Bias by omission is one factor of comparison. As you read, you will build up knowledge about the universe of reportable facts, analysis, and opinion on this topic. The more knowledge you have about a topic, the easier it will be to identify when certain information is missing, the presence of which could have made that article fairer and less biased. As you get more experienced at rating articles, your ability to identify this bias by omission will increase. If you notice that the topic itself tends to be of more interest to the left or right, you can place that article into a skews left or skews right position based on that. For example, an article about climate change or civil rights could skew left, while an article about taxes or national security could skew right. To determine where you should place an extreme article on the left-right spectrum, consider the level of bias of this article compared to all other articles that you've read. If an article strikes you in your experience as being one of the most extreme you've ever read, you should rate it in the most extreme column. When considering the articles that you view as the most neutral or balanced of the set, imagine what a perfectly neutral or balanced article on this topic would look like, and place the actual articles in relation to that. An article can have a middle bias rating for 3 reasons. 1, it does not advocate for a position. 2, it shows both sides in an equal way. Or 3, it advocates a compromise or centrist position. When you've taken all of these factors into consideration, you'll be able to make a reasonable judgment as to which of the 7 bias categories this article belongs in. If you want to choose a bias rating from -42 to +42, the way our analysts do here at Adfontes Media, we'll end this video by showing the exact number ranges we use for the bias categories. This allows for greater nuance by choosing a number within a particular category. We hope that these instructions increase your understanding of our methodology. Happy rating!